Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
This is So I'm Watching the Show, your new favorite pop culture YouTube channel where we talk about movies, TV, music, and more. I wanted to record an intro because we're going to release some very old test footage of ours that was Riverdale. We covered season 1 and 2 of Riverdale, and because we have had so much fun with that show, for better and worse, and because it's been one of some of our most popular content, I was like, we've got this footage. It's not great. Like, our audio's bad. Yeah. We look different. There is no set. Yeah. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, I think the conversation is good. Mm-hmm. And I think it's worth releasing.
It's in my old dining room.
So yeah, we're definitely going to release season 2. And that's what this is. This is just a little intro for our Riverdale season 2 content. So you got to have options.
I see.
So please do enjoy.
Primary colors.
I see your true colors shining through. Oh boy. I'm trying to get in the zone. I watched this episode last night, and I know I saw this episode. I remember, in particular, because of the scene in the very beginning with Chick and Betty and Alice.
Oh, okay. I remembered the sleepover.
Barely.
Yeah, okay.
I kind of don't remember it. Like, I was like, maybe I was drunk when I watched it. I kind of don't remember anything from it. And this episode is balls to the wall. There's so much going on, and it's like all of it is paying off on the groundwork we laid previously.
Yes.
Which makes it all the more satisfying.
Yeah. A lot of stuff comes to a point here.
We've said many times doing this coverage that this is the moment that blank. This is the moment that blank. I'm not going to say this is the moment, but I will say this is when I actively started noticing how good Lily is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think this is when she starts really keying in to subtleties, because the scene in the beginning...
Well, and to, like, who Betty is.
Yeah. The scene... Because she's being, like, bested.
Yeah.
And the scene with Chick and Alice when she tries to call Chick's bluff, and we find out that Hal is not his father.
Right.
I don't know who it could be. Or did we find out?
We don't find out who it is in this episode.
Who it could possibly be.
We have our suspicions in this episode based on some other comments.
But, and so anyways, he just goes like full blown puppy eyes with Alice.
For Alice, yeah.
And she's like hugging him, and the look that he gives Betty,
he's just like,
over Alice's... Oh my god, Hart is so good in this role.
He's very good.
And he's such a good foible for Betty.
Yeah.
And she does an eyebrow raise that...
But it's so subtle.
So subtle.
So subtle.
And it is like the encapsulation of I'm not even mad, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, it's so good.
It really is just like okay, well done.
Touche.
Yeah, you won this battle. I will still win the war.
So, yeah, I feel like she had another thing in this episode, but I can't quite remember.
Well, her stuff with Veronica is pretty good in this episode. Especially at the end.
I forgot that they were actually going ahead and making Veronica a bad guy.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like this stuff with Veronica and Hermione is so interesting because they are given things and stuff to work through. Like Veronica, I mean, she is becoming like a bad guy, but she's also still really upset about like Ethel and Ethel's family and stuff. And she's like trying to like make amends or whatever, but it just is like...
Ethel gives Veronica the full Glee treatment.
Your sentence is this.
I laughed so hard where she's like, because you could tell she rehearsed it, like she wrote it down the night before, and she's just like, the jury's in, and your sentence is this. Boosh.
She's just like, for your crimes against Riverdale. And I'm just like, Ethel, girl, You gotta relax. It's so intense, and then it just is literally strawberry milkshake.
Well, and Veronica handles it well, but then Reggie comes out like a bear. I had forgotten what a cock he was being.
Veronica, I heard you got a face full of dairy. I've got some nuts to top off that shake if you...
And then she straight punches him in the face.
She socks him right in the eye.
For your mom.
So good.
Very
It's
good.
so good. Oh my god. Then she gets into an argument with her parents in which her mother threatens to cut off her head.
Keep your head in the sand.
Before it gets cut off.
I don't. That's the thing. So I didn't finish my point about.
Sorry.
I didn't finish my point about Hermione because it's like what they're trying to do with Veronica is keep her on like both sides of the equation. So she's like good and bad, and she also like she's supposed to be doing everything right, so she can't be held accountable. But then she's also supposed to be helping them in the nefarious stuff, and that's to me less interesting than Hermione the Kingpin, which we've talked about before, and which she is trying to be in this, and it just doesn't. None of the Lodge stuff ever meshes properly, in my opinion. It's never working on the right caliber.
I kind of like the glimpse into bad guy Veronica.
Yeah.
In a way that I wish that maybe we saw that through the season, where we went kind of like Allison Argent season 2.
Sure. Like all the way to being a total
Yeah.
bitch. I was going to say the other word.
Oh, well. So, connected, Fred is trying to get out of his deal with the lodges.
Yeah.
And so he brings in his big guns, adorably. Mary Andrews.
Very cute.
And she... I won't remember this
like-
episode. The truth and nothing but the truth.
To Archie, she like knocks him down because he's also being such a prick at that point. Because he's just like, well, you're just an idiot, Fred, aren't you? And Mary is like, and 17th of all, don't disrespect your father in this house. And it's actually
Not
great.
under Fred Andrews' roof.
You can side with Hiram Lodge, even though he's a crook. You can do that. That is your right. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit here and listen to you disrespect him.
It's actually so great because she's like, you can disagree with him and you can believe in different stuff, but you absolutely cannot treat him this way. And it's like,
And she does point out the fact that they both know the lodges better than
way
he
better.
does.
Yeah, way better.
And yeah, it was really good. In hindsight, I like this Archie too. I mean, it's like trying in that he's making bad decisions, so it's annoying, but it is an interesting and it is an apt.
Well, and I also do the whole like, I'll throw it away for my high school girlfriend. I'll throw it all away for her is like obviously tried and true, and so that's I agree. But it is hurtful to watch him be so mean to Fred, but then it is incredible to watch Mary smack him back down into the dirt.
And so we have a lengthy plot. This is one of those episodes that felt like it was like an hour and 40 minutes.
It did. I just kept watching it.
Yeah.
It just kept happening.
Cheryl has a lot. Again, hilarious. And she's in her own, like she's in another genre.
Like not even noir, like a gothic.
Yeah,
Like a
gothic.
gothic horror movie. I wish I had written down what she said when she invited them all over for the sleepover.
If we're thinking the same thing, the Vixens have a cheerleading routine in which Vanessa Morgan is white hot sex for like a full minute. It was the hottest thing.
It's very good.
And then she dismisses them, but she says like, inner circle Vixens stay, you know who you are.
That's very good.
And you can see it's the smallest thing. Like I don't know if it was written in the script, but it's stuff like this that I love and that they do a lot of, and I want more. But you can see Betty go to leave, like shrug and leave, and Veronica like grabs her hand and is like, just stay.
Inner Circle Vixens, hang back. You know who you are. In honor of Tony joining our squad.
And so and Cheryl allows it. There's not a big, neon sign pointed to it. But then later at the sleepover, after they've already combed all their hair, she addresses them as dearest friends and Cousin Betty.
I
laughed so loud. I thought that was so funny.
That's not what I was thinking of.
Okay,
It's like her little speech when she's like telling them why she invited them over. And she's just, it's like the language that she chooses.
It's so Murder on the Orient Express.
So Murder on the Orient Express. And she just is like, I've been fearful for my
foul
life.
play.
Yeah.
There's a stranger in this house. My Uncle Claudius. He's as mad as the sea, and ever since he blew in, I feel like I'm in mortal peril.
Wait, I'm confused. Is this real or are we playing a game?
It's like, it's very funny the way that she speaks. But they also just totally take her seriously. Well, at first they get to it like, Tony and Josie both are like, are you sure you're not imagining things? Like, you're in a new house kind of stuff. And Betty's like, well, then I must be imagining things too, because there's an enemy in my house as well. And so, talking about Chick. But yeah, I love the way that Cheryl presents herself.
And this is when we start getting, I mean, this is when we continue getting Poison Ivy, Penelope Blossom.
Yeah.
We really establish her garden and her special blend of herbs and teas.
She is poisoning Nana Rose with that tea, y'all. She's doing it.
And then they push her down the stairs.
Her and Claudius.
And oh god, it's so good. It's so affected. Like, it's so heightened and melodramatic. It's just delicious. And so it then merges into the plot of Cheryl being committed, which what?
I don't like it.
Like, I mean, nobody likes it. Like, you think the show shouldn't have done it?
Not necessarily, but before we get there, actually, she and Tony are sharing the bed at the sleepover, and she tells Tony that she didn't want to invite everybody, but she knew her mother would be terrible if she only invited Tony, like she wanted to, and then they kiss. It's not that I think the show shouldn't have done it. I think similarly to, now I can't remember what it was we talked about before, but it's similar to something else where it basically is, it's similar to in The Magicians with Christopher Plover, where it's like they let Penelope be a type of character that I think is inappropriate after this.
Okay.
And I don't, because she's used a lot for like comedic relief and like not like sort of zaniness and stuff, and having committed Cheryl to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy for being a lesbian.
Well, which we find that out in real time with Cheryl. Because
Yeah.
at first we think she's just being
committed. Like for insanity. And but it's like finding...
It's like the last seconds of the episode where they're talking about unnatural urges and stuff.
Exactly. And so, and the way that Penelope speaks to Tony also when Tony comes to look for Cheryl, and it's not letting her be the character she is after this, I think is disingenuous.
I get you. I even lightly agree. I disconnect a little bit.
Of course, me too. There's only so much you can carry over from season to season, but it's just like committing your daughter to conversion therapy is not something you can come back from. And she manages to like still be around in Cheryl's life.
This is one of the places where the themes of the show matter more than the actual intricacies of the plot. It's like they just want to do the 1960s paranoid asylum thing.
Yes.
And they have this plot and this language sitting there, so they're like, why not? It's like, on paper, I think it is I wanted to say it's crueler, and that's not what I mean, but it's like, I think the logistics of it are worse than the way the show plays it as like a trope, like as like a genre.
Sure, yes.
Because that is one of the only things, and I just have to ignore it, but we mentioned it once before, and we'll probably mention it again, but I think Penelope's, like, strong, like, virulent homophobia is out of character.
Yes, yeah, we did talk about that, and I agree that it's out of character for her, for sure.
And, I mean, she stays a bad guy on the show, but you are right. She's used for like delicious purposes, and she's used as like kind of a gay icon, and it's worth noting that is a pretty ultimate betrayal to be also trotted out as camp.
It's a tough thing to recover from, and I guess it does.
Natalie Bolt pulls it off.
I was literally going to say the exact same thing. I guess it comes down to Natalie Bolt's chops, which are great.
So we did also have, I am trying so hard to not be repetitive and annoying and say the same thing over and over again. However, it does keep factoring in, but it's like...
Talking about Jughead?
No, I'm talking about Josie. We keep getting glimpses into this potential character and these potential plot lines.
Because this was so good, because we find out that she's
first of all, she has two plots. Because first of all, she's part of Cheryl's inner circle, which we've only brushed the surface of, and Cheryl's also in the throes of manipulating her.
Yeah.
And second of all, with Veronica.
Yeah, she, like, ends up being the one who, like, tells on Veronica that she knew about the prison and everything.
Even though...
Veronica said she didn't.
Even though she's, like, agreeing to help Veronica.
Yeah, it's shady, and that's the kind of thing where, like, I could have used more of that. I mean, I could have used more of anything with Josie, and we haven't done one of these since we found out. But like, Katie Keene got canceled, so now what is Josie gonna come back to Riverdale? That
I wouldn't be surprised if she just left, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot going on. Yeah, I would like to see something good come of it. I would like to see more from these characters, because I think the material's there.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also don't really want to lose people. It's like, I don't want to lose, Tony or Reggie or Kevin or, you know what I mean? But it's like, the priorities need to be shuffled around.
Definitely.
A little bit.
Definitely.
So, yeah. So, because also, I mean, I'm just imagining this, like, kinship, because I don't imagine it's an intense relationship, but this like scene between Josie and Ethel.
Thanks for the intel, Josie.
No problem. We girls, we gotta stick together.
Because it works, the reveal works better, but it's like, that, I don't know, it was interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I also just, their treatment of Ethel is really weird too.
So weird.
It's really, really strange.
And then we have Jughead's hunger strike. It's just adorable to me.
It is. It's very like me can protest too.
He thinks he's like, people.
He's on a hunger strike, and then he like chains himself to the steps of Southside High. And like I understand the arguments for sure, but like, I am like a little more on Archie's side, where he's like, didn't you go to
there
the
for like
South
4
Side
days?
For 4 days? And he was like, I'm from the South Side. And it's like, fine, you're from the South Side. This school means nothing to you. It's just very...
It suits that age.
First protest.
Oh yeah, it suits that age, because when young people find something that they're passionate about and really cling to it as an identity, like I had a friend who moved to New York, and then like when she, like 4 months later when she came back, she was so like, it's so weird being home because us New Yorkers were like, you know what I mean? And we were like, you have been there for 6 months.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And she was always talking about like, I keep forgetting I'm not New York. Like, so that's why I think it's
when
most
you're
like,
not
kind
in
of...
New York, you don't forget you're not in New York. Sorry.
You wouldn't understand. You've never lived in New York. You're not from New York, but...
Yeah, well, neither was whoever that is.
So, it's just funny. It's very funny. And he chains himself to the school, and then
he, like, it's really... Because Betty and Veronica have a fight and sort of, like, break up in this episode, and then Archie and Jughead kind of have a fight as well, because he
don't they go full civil war in, like, the next episode?
Sort of, he basically is, like... Because Jughead is like, I'm gonna make them watch you cut me from this school, and I just was like,
why are the wrestlers the ones doing this? Like the high school wrestlers were like recruited by the police to like remove this like teenage gang.
Yeah, it's questionable all around.
Well, no, that made me think that we completely forgot to mention how stupid it was that Andy Cohen was on this show like 5 episodes ago.
Yeah, and we forgot
because there's no reason to bring in a real life celebrity to play himself in this world where they get so much more mileage out of like
the jokes,
impressions of, or like suggestions of.
Like it should have been someone else playing someone named Sandy Bowen.
Yeah, like and then they just like. It's so weird the way the scene is played out, because it's like one of those bits where it's like 2 characters are talking about someone who's not in the room, and the camera just pans and he's standing right there. He's just like waiting.
Well, it's such a bad segue, because they're like, speaking of housewives, here's Andy Cohen. And you're like, what?
And so he comes in to welcome his good friend Hermione. Could you imagine if she gets on, like, if they bring the Real Housewives of, like, Riverdale or something?
Oh, man. No.
With her and Alice and Penelope?
No. I don't want that.
I do! I want it so
And
bad.
Sierra and Mary is only in town sometimes.
Oh my god, no, but like, yeah, it's so dumb. And it's all before the title card.
Yeah.
So then he even has a vanity credit, like a vanity card in the credit sequence, so we don't see him again.
Yeah.
But they use him, they like dangle him in front of Kevin for like, I don't know.
Because that is it's a weird point in this episode that happened 5 episodes ago. But it's a weird thing because like Hermione's doing this interview and Veronica and Kevin are watching and I was like, why is Kevin here? Like Kevin and Veronica are friends, but they're not that close. Why is Kevin here just to like watch this? And then you see Andy Cohen and you're like, oh, I get it. It's cheap, but I get it.
Don't change. I want it this way.
Don't
it's
change.
the best.
Definitely
but,
don't change.
Because I already said the show where it's like this is borderline a fantasy show.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm talking kings and queens and like feudal warfare and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Is that everything?
Well, Fred is running against Hermione for mayor officially.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah. All right.